Hey everybody, it's Allison again, stlprostretch.com. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. This video is kind of a continuation of the first. I'm going to number these quick, like 10, 15-minute stretches. And so we're going to kind of move on from the first video that we did. As always, the rules are never work through pain. So stop if you feel pain, work within your range of motion, and we are always moving and resisting because this is resistance stretching. So we are contracting the muscle against the force as it gets longer. All right, let's come to the mat. And we're going to start with calves. So the first calf stretch that we're going to do is a downward dog stretch. Typically downward dog, we are on our hands and knees. And then I'm going to tuck my toes under, lift the hips, and then kind of push back until I'm in the, like, I look like I'm going to pounce on something, or like a runner at the start of a race. And then I'm going to lift my hips up and press my heels down. We want to try to maintain a flat back if you can, but if your back rounds a little bit, I'm not that worried about it. So we start here, lift the heels, shift forward, and then shift back and slowly lower the heels. Lift the heels, shift forward, shift back, and slowly lower the heels. Just try that a few times. And if you want to take this a little bit farther, you're going to slowly lower the heels, press the chest back toward the thighs, and try to lift the toes up and tilt the tailbone up. That's going to get you a lot more stretch if you are desiring it. Now, for some of you, I want you to keep going. If you're still doing the stretch and you're fine with it, then just keep going. I want to demonstrate what we're going to do if we cannot get into that position. I've got a chair, and I've got this mat. My head's going to get cut off in a minute, but that's all right. And I'm going to put the chair far enough away, stand on the mat with the balls of my feet. I'm going to stretch out, lift the heels, kind of come up a little bit, and then push the hips back and slowly lower the heels and press the chest down. It's still a great stretch either way. You might actually like this one better. And you can pick the toes up as you press the chest down. And you can also do the same thing, lower the heels, lift the toes, and press the tailbone up as you press the chest down. So for me, I get a great stretch doing either one of these. So you can pick and choose which one you want. The next thing we're going to do, and this is something that I found useful for both working my glutes and stretching my calves, which is a win-win for everybody, right? So I'm going to be here in this position, and I'm going to kick a leg back behind me, and as I bring it down, I'm going to lift up on the ball of my foot. So as the heel comes down and I press my chest down, I'm going to lift the left leg back. So that's your movement. We're just doing one leg at a time. And I'm demonstrating this here on the chair. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to do it without the chair in the downward dog position. So we're here. And I'm going to lift the leg behind me as I lower the heel. And then as I bring the leg down, I'm going to shift forward and bring my feet together. So this is just recently a way that I've found to work my glutes and get my calf stretch a little bit deeper. Now, I've been using ankle weights as I do this, so that way I can get the glute a little bit better. You could even work into an upward dog and a downward dog. But for right now, I think we'll be good with just moving back and forth from here. try to keep your hips level if you can. All right, then we'll move on to the next stretch. We're going to be doing hip flexor next. My favorite. Grab a blanket, or some people actually find a block to be very helpful with patellar pain as we're kneeling. Either or, I'll use the block today. Show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to put one knee on the block, and I'm going to bring the other foot forward, and I'm going to come up. I am going to imagine my legs scissoring together like a pair of scissors. So my back knee, imagine that back knee moving forward and the front foot moving back towards you. It should feel like a little catch as you do that. I want you to hold the contraction, pull your belly in, shift forward and back. Now we are stretching the front of the right hip. If you bend forward too much, if your belly falls forward, you're going to lose most of that stretch. And as you come back, I want you to imagine that back knee pulling in toward the chest, like bringing that back leg into fetal position. We want to get that hip flexor nice and warm. And I would say 10 to 12 reps on each side, maybe. And then if you can, you'll know, because that hip flexor is going to get tired. That's what we want. We want to stretch it and get tired. And we're going to move the foot out to the side a bit and put the hands down on the mat. Shift forward and just really get into that hip flexor. Kind of moving around a little bit. And no, this is not a resistance stretch. This is just a kind of a passive feel-good thing, but it does feel amazing. Hold it for at least 30 seconds, because when you're stretching with these passive stretches, technically you need to hold them for 30 seconds or you're not going to get much out of them. And then switch legs. So block under the other knee. I'm going to shift forward. I'm going to scissor my inner thighs together, belly in. So my back knee is pulling forward, my front foot is pulling back as I shift forward and back again. This stretch may not feel like it's doing much for you if you're pretty limber. But just keep in mind that this muscle is often weak. So think about it as a strengthening exercise as well as a stretch. So this is your kicking forward muscle. When you're running, if you're a runner, usually they're really, really tight. And when they get too tight, they can cause all kinds of problems in your lower body. IT band syndrome, calf problems, knee problems, all kinds of things. Even piriformis problems. So again, as I pull back, I'm imagining this back knee pulling in towards my chest. That's going to help me maintain that posterior pelvic tilt. What is a posterior pelvic tilt? It just means that the top of your hip is moving back and your tailbone's going under. And then we're going to get into that lizard. So bring my hands forward and just shift forward as much as you can. And kind of move around a little bit. So if your knee is like mine, my kneecaps are very sensitive, so you might want to put a lot more padding under your knee, something softer than a yoga block. Again, about 30 seconds if you want to get the maximum advantage of these passive stretches. And then I think that's it for today. I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter than some of my other videos. Just seems more doable, you know? So anyway, again, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Happy stretching. Bye-bye.